Do you realize how God knows the real date?
That's right.
He knows the real. God didn't give phony dates that the world had to use. He used the exact date that the man actually resigns. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And there's a bit of a mystery here that might play into the new pope, too. In that I think that the cardinal electors and the popes are following the prophecy of the popes and other prophecies like a roadmap, kind of in the same way that the Nation of Islam is trying to do certain things to make certain things happen, right? You had Joel Richardson. He and I speak at conferences and stuff together. I always say his name wrong. But anyway, Joel Richardson.
Yes.
He was just here.
Yeah, who would have been explaining the things that the Islamic nation are doing to make the end times happen. Mm-hmm. And I believe that the Pope and some of the cardinals are doing the same exact things that play into this prophecy of the popes. Why do I say that? Because there was a Belgian Jesuit by the name of René Thibault, and 63 years ago he wrote a book called The Mysterious Prophecy of the Popes. And guess what? He's the one we got the date from. He said that Gloria Olivae, line number 111 of the Prophecy of the Popes, will step down in April of 2012. He predicted it 63 years in advance. And that's who we based a lot of credit on. Many of the other things he said happened when he said they did. But then it was the question, was he divinely inspired? Was he demonically inspired? Because we know demons know things about times and dispensations too, right?
Oh.
They're pretty active right now.
That's why we have to have discernment in the last days.
But there's one other possibility, and that is that the cardinals have been following these things like a roadmap, making decisions, even when Benedict stepped down, because it's based on prophetic and mystical utterances within Catholicism. So, when the Pope last week says, I may be assassinated, and I'm willing to be assassinated if that's what the Lord wants, I'm telling you, he's talking from prophecy.
Wow.
ISIS said they're going to kill him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well, they did. And
they said they're going to destroy Rome.
That's right.
Now, I don't want to get ahead of you, but we haven't introduced you yet, but let's go on. Keep going. I can't stop now. I'm too excited. I got to hear what's coming next. So keep going.
Well, I'm telling you that this Pope, first of all, this Pope has said and done more about prophecy. He's talked about the Antichrist more than any Pope in recent history. He has illustrated that he is a believer in things like the end times. But I also think he's a believer in some of their own prophecies. For instance, the third secret of Fatima also says that Rome will be destroyed. And it even describes the bishop in white, the Pope, walking through what appears to be the Vatican City, where there's dead priests and dead religious people all over the place, making his way to a cross. That might be the cross that's on the top of the Obelisk there in St. Peter's Square, making his way to a cross when these ISIS-like fighters run in and shoot him and kill him. So I think he's a believer. I think he believes in Fatima. I think he believes in his role as... Look, here's the thing about this Pope. He is not an ignorant man. Now, he carries himself humble, and he may actually be humble, but he's a Jesuit. He's got advanced degrees in history, in science.
Yes.
And by the way, he also had an interest in studying astrobiology before he became a Jesuit, which will connect back to some of the other stuff in that second book there. Yeah. But I think he is a believer that he is playing the role of the final Pope, and the final line in the prophecy of the Pope also describes Rome being destroyed. So there is a concatenation
in the final prophecy.
Yeah. The final line in the prophecy says that Petrus Romanus is the Pope that will rule over Rome during the time, by the way, that the world and the church enter into the Great Tribulation period. And then it says, and then Rome, the city of Rome, the Vatican, will be destroyed, and assumably him along with it. So I think he sees ISIS as the agent of God's will for fulfilling Catholic prophecy, and that's why he's saying, if it's God's will that I'm assassinated, he says, I just hope it doesn't hurt.